Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine getting a message right, out of the blue, and it instantly pulls you back into this whole whirlwind of memories. Just a single phrase that asks, can we be strangers again? That's exactly where our deep dive begins today. You've shared this really powerful personal narrative with us, the book Can We Be Strangers Again by Srijit Dad Chandila. And our mission today is, well, to peel back its layers, try and extract the insights that speak to that universal experience of love, loss, and, finding yourself.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here is how just one phrase, such a poignant phrase, can hold so much emotional complexity. That raw desire to just erase a past connection, to unfeel something that was profound, all for the sake of emotional peace. So our journey today explores Dev's struggles, his revelations, which are deeply human. It's really more than just a story. It's a profound look at how relationships shape us, often in ways we don't expect, and they lead us to confront our own vulnerabilities, our assumptions.
Absolutely. And the source material you've brought, it's this deeply personal narrative, almost like a memoir, right? Tracing the protagonist, Dev, through his college life, his experiences, his relationships, that really intense journey of self-discovery. So we're going to meticulously follow him through his time at Christ University and then later at IM Goa, and really dissect the intricate dynamics, the connections he has with two central figures, Avantika and Tanishka.
Exactly. Our core mission is to pull out those emotional beats that just resonate universally, the unexpected turns that shift perception, and the profound lessons learned from Dev's journey. We'll be looking closely at how these relationships, which were fraught with both ecstasy and doubt, how they profoundly shaped his understanding of love, friendship, and ultimately, his own personal growth. It's about understanding not just what happened, but why it mattered so much to him, and what insights, we can draw from his experience about the human heart and the choices we all make.
And as we delve into Dev's story, you, listening, might just find pieces of your own story in there, echoes of your own soul, maybe, waiting to be understood. It's a universally relevant exploration of attachment, loss, and that sometimes really painful path to truly understanding yourself. So let's begin. Okay, so we actually open the story not in the past, but in a reflective present. It's 2024. A rainy day in Goa. Our protagonist, Deb, he's sitting on his balcony. The air is thick, heavy, with that scent of wet soil. It creates this odd, almost deceiving calmness around him. He lights a cigarette, its tip glowing warm orange against the gray rain. It looks like a moment of external peace, but as you know, the rain isn't really washing anything clean today. Instead, it seems to stir up everything he's tried so hard to bury.
Yeah, that sudden jolt, that message, can we be strangers again? It speaks volumes about the power of unresolved past, doesn't it? It's almost like his present peace was always just fragile, poised to break at any reminder of that key relationship. And it immediately raises a big question. What kind of past could possibly lead to such a poignant request? Why would someone want to undo a connection so completely? For Dev, memory isn't just comfort. It's a source of real profound pain. This single cigarette, this rainy day, becomes like a portal to a past filled with what he calls extreme emotions of ecstasy and doubt. He reflects on the girl who touched my heart deeply, acknowledging her presence was this mix of happiness and heartache. And even though she left a scar, he describes it as beautiful in its own painful way because, he muses, she helped shape the person I am today. It's such a bittersweet blend, isn't it? Nostalgia and longing, underscored by the rain. That sadness creeps back in, bringing the memory of the day everything changed, leaving scars that, well, never truly fade.
And that's precisely when his calm is shattered. Suddenly, his phone vibrates in his pocket. He thinks it's just another college message, maybe, but something deep inside tells him to check. And there it is. A message that makes his heart literally skip a beat. Hits like an old wound reopening. Can we be strangers again? He sighs, slips the phone back into his pocket. And then we're pulled back. 4 years earlier to 2020. This was the year that, for Dev, really set the stage for countless changes, transformations. It laid the foundation for everything that followed, shaping him in ways he couldn't have imagined back then. So let's rewind. 2020. Back to where it all began for Dev, his first year at Christ University. It was supposed to be this exciting new chapter, right? But starting college in 2020, it was unlike anything traditional. No excited chatter in hallways, no first aid jitters in crowded classrooms. No. Instead, it was just Dev staring at a screen, filled with tiny faces. He says he immediately felt this strange loneliness, missing the energy of a real classroom, the simple chance to meet people face to face. His new challenge was, well, learning to make friends and learn entirely through a webcam.
And this section really vividly shows how institutions had to adapt, right? How they tried to foster belonging, even in these really unconventional, isolating settings. It also powerfully underscores that fundamental human need for connection, for shared identity. even if initially it had to be purely digital. The college recognized this challenge. They set up a WhatsApp group for new students. And this guy, Kinchin from Ghaziabad, he took the initiative, tried to break the ice, introduced himself, started asking questions about interests, backgrounds. His enthusiasm gradually warmed up the group, though as Dev observed, not everyone jumped in right away. But despite that slow, kind of detached start, Dev, like many others, held on to the hope. The hope that once offline classes finally started, they'd truly connect in person, build those real relationships.
Yeah, and that hope carried them through those early, really surreal days. The university itself, Christ University, they tried hard to instill its spirit, even virtually. Dev recalls their first official introduction. Dr. Jossie P. George, the director, appeared on the screens. His presence, Dev says, was this blend of warmth and authority that stood out. And with this warm smile, a rich, husky voice, he greeted them. "Good morning, Christites. I know this year is different, but once a Christite, always a Christite. The spirit of Christ is in our blood." Even through a screen that carried a deep sense of pride, belonging. Later, they were introduced to the Christ anthem, March On, Christites. Dev remembers getting goosebumps, even virtually. It became a symbol of unity, purpose, reminding them that being a Christite meant carrying a piece of their alma mater no matter where they were or how things changed.
It's a remarkable illustration, isn't it, how a strong institutional culture can try to bridge those gaps created by circumstance. Then came the first actual class, and with it, this buzz of excitement filled the virtual room. Marjorie Ma'am appeared, her good morning students delivered with a voice so warm Dev felt it was literally like a hug. Most of the boys, he recalls, were immediately, well, flattered. Smitten, maybe? But then, as they were grappling with the unexpected task of facing mathematics, a subject that clearly terrified many, including Dev, Marjorie Ma'am, just casually drops this revelation. "By the way, I'm married and have a child."
And here's where it gets really interesting. A total reality check. Dev describes it hitting them like a sudden downpour, dousing our daydreams. The virtual room apparently fell into this stunned silence. Any fantasy they'd built up just crashed down. It was a sobering moment, wasn't it? A stark reminder that even virtual crushes have real-world lives, complexities beyond the screen. Manjari Ma'am, though, she quickly steered them back, moved to her next task, collecting photos for a college collage. And this is where Dev unknowingly steps onto a completely new path.
Indeed. This seemingly minor task becomes a pivotal moment. Dev, determined to get all the photos, finds one student's missing, sends a message to the unknown number. The reply comes almost instantly. "Hey, Dev, give me a minute. I'm sending it to you now." A few moments later, a photo pops up. Dev describes just staring at it, totally captivated. A girl in a breathtaking purple sari, clearly for a special occasion, like a Class 12 farewell. Curly hair framing her face beautifully, her eyes deep and mesmerizing, her whole demeanor radiating elegance and poise. Then another message. "Hi, I'm Avantika. Sorry for the delay. How's the collage coming up?" Dev replies, feeling this immediate, strange but comforting connection through the screen, this moment. Yeah, it really sets the stage.
And just like that, Avantika enters his life. Dev reflects on this moment, describes this unplaceable emotion looking at her photo. Her grace, her warmth seemed almost unreal, added a touch of real charm to his, otherwise dull online world. He felt this bittersweet longing for the moments they were missing, acknowledging technology's dual role, bringing them closer in some ways, yeah, but keeping them physically apart. As the Anais Nin quote says, "We do not see things as they are, we see them as we are."
What's truly fascinating here is the almost immediate, powerful impression Avantika makes on Dev, even from just a single image. It really speaks to the potent draw of perceived beauty, the romantic ideal, which so often sets the stage for future complications. This initial idealized connection. It isn't just about Avantika, is it? It's about Dev's own internal landscape, his readiness for a deep emotional bond. Even if that bond is, at this stage, largely a projection. It foreshadows how easily our perceptions can be swayed by that initial attraction, sometimes blinding us to underlying realities that only time reveals. This formative encounter, driven by just one photograph, demonstrates the immense power of imagination and longing in shaping these early relationships.
So as their online interactions continued, Avantika quickly stood out. She was the only one from a science background in this commerce class, a fact that didn't go unnoticed. Sarab, the class joker, couldn't resist teasing her in the WhatsApp group. Asked her, "Science student in a commerce college, lost on the way to IIT Avantika," added a bunch of laughing emojis. Dev waited, knew this would be interesting, but Avantika fired back immediately, sharp wit. Better lost in learning than stuck in one place forever.
Right. And what's fascinating here is how quickly those social group dynamics form, even online, and how early impressions can be so deeply formative. Before Dev could even chuckle, this other guy, man but someone Dev hadn't really noticed before, chimed in to defend Avantika. told Sarab to chill, emphasized judging wasn't cool, everyone was there to learn. This unexpected defense left Dev kind of scratching his head, wondering if they knew each other. In the days that followed, Dev noticed Manvit and Avantika chatting more. He kept telling himself he'd find the right moment to intervene or ask, but he never did. Remained, as he put it, a spectator in my own story. He later reflects this might have been his biggest mistake. And this really underscores a crucial point about observational bias in relationships, doesn't it? Dev perceives a dynamic, assumes a romantic connection between Manvit and Avantika, and that influences his actions, or, well, his inaction. It's a classic example of how unaddressed assumptions, perceived competition, can subtly shape outcomes. Leads to missed opportunities, later regret. And then, as if life wasn't complicated enough, Dev's best friend, Rahil, RKD, unexpectedly got into Christ University, adding what Dev calls a sitcom moment with his unusual crushes on women at least 15 years older.
Life just seemed to be pulling Dev in all directions, right? He found himself torn between assignments piling up and just losing himself in memories. One evening, Manav, a friend from his I Am Goa days and a Christite a year ahead, called him. Manav was this unique character, big-time procrastinator, but with the discipline of a monk. Went to bed at exactly 11 p.m. Manav invited Dev out for a ride on his scooty, which was barely holding together. It's not about the ride, it's about the adventure, Manav apparently declared cheerfully. As they rode, they got into these philosophical conversations, often about I Am Goa's quirks, how it was called the worst managed B school, yet was still one of the best. Dev joked its tagline should be where learning happens. Their talk also drifted to cigarettes. Dev observed they were a temporary escape from reality, but also a reminder of your lack of control. He loved badminton, but found cigarettes really affected his game, made his footwork less about finesse, more about fumbling.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights how the past echoes in the present, often in subtle ways. How Dev's subconscious is clearly seeking connection, maybe even replicating past ones, while still grappling with unresolved feelings. While they were at the badminton court, Dev spotted this girl who looked oddly familiar. Curly hair, pink t-shirt, black trousers, and pink shoes. Uncannily like Avantika, he thought. Big, expressive eyes, broad, gentle face, smile that could light up a room. Her curly hair, he noted, bounced with every movement, adding to her charm. He introduced himself. She replied she was Arushi. As they chatted, Dev found another uncanny similarity. Arushi's dad also worked at Punjab National Bank, just like Avantika's. Felt like an old wine in a new glass, or a familiar vintage under a different label. Intensified that feeling the universe was maybe replicating connections. Dev, sensing she was new to college, gave her some friendly advice. Look, the secret to surviving college is simple. Just act like you've got it all together while you're secretly Googling everything. Fake it till you make it.
After exchanging contacts, Dev lingered, feeling the strange mix of excitement and unease. Scroll through WhatsApp and there it was again. That message he couldn't escape. Can we be strangers again? It had come 5 hours ago, brought that familiar sense of dread. Manav, sensing his mood, quipped, Yaar, jo bhi hi, itna deep mat soch. Which means, dude, whatever it is, don't overthink it so deeply. Dev silently reflected on how sharing emotions with other guys was confusing, messy, frustrating. Highlighted his need for a female friend to decode our emotional state.
As 2020 moved towards his birthday in October, Dev found himself settling into that online monotony. Classes, assignments, endless Google Meets. He and his friends, Saurabh and Pavni, found solace in their digital gatherings. It became a kind of sanctuary from academic pressures. He watched Saurabh navigate his own online romance struggles, filled with numerous, often heart-wrenching and amusing rejections, he says. Throughout all this, Dev harbored this secret. His strong desire for Avantika to join their gatherings, but he just lacked the courage to ask, fearing he'd be the awkward third wheel because of Manvit.
And this section reveals a really powerful irony that resonates deeply later in the story. Dev's intense longing for Avantika to be part of his birthday celebration and his pure joy when she finally joins. That very moment is later framed as the catalyst for his deep regret. It's a classic case of how the thing we desire most intensely can become the source of our greatest pain. As his friends wished him, Pavni, noticing his distraction, slyly nudged him. You're waiting for her, aren't you? Saurabh offered to call Avantika, but Pavni, always the bold one, declared, if anyone can convince her, it's me. She called Avantika. Dev watched, breathless, couldn't hear Avantika's reply, just hanging on every second. When Pavni hung up, triumphant, Dev felt this rush of happiness. His heart skipped a beat. He was convinced something special was about to happen. 2 minutes later, the notification popped up. Avantika Sharma has joined the call. Dev's face heated up as he tried to sound casual. Immediately, the teasing began. Akinchan's, the Bangaya Baika. My brother's day is made. and other playful remarks made no sense to Avantika, who looked puzzled. It was clear his worst-kept secret crush was now totally out in the open. As the call wound down, Dev interacted briefly with another student, Tanishka, confirming she was the last person to join our class. They talked about hybrid learning, and Tanishka quipped, "Online classes feel more like a background soundtrack, while we scroll through memes and pretend to be engaged." This seemingly casual interaction, like the entire joyful night, Dev later thinks, was just a prelude to regret. His immediate thought, if only that birthday wish had never come, if I had never opened that message. He realizes regret never changes the past, it only makes the present harder to bear. The profound irony here is how a moment of such pure elation is later reframed as the trigger for future heartbreak.
Right. That seemingly innocent birthday call marked a really pivotal shift. Dev recalls just 4 days later, October 18th, he and Avantika chatted endlessly. Until 4 a.m., the catalyst. Avantika slid into his DMs for a cheat code for tomorrow for their online accounts exam, which humorously no one was taking seriously anyway. That tiny interaction sparked this continuous conversation, deepening their connection. They talked about everything: life, college, her recent move, that cosmic signal of their banker dads. Dev then took the plunge, asked if she was dating anyone. Her reply, "No, I'm single." He playfully teased her about Manvid, who apparently had proposed but got friend-zoned. Dev in turn teased her back, called himself a limited edition. He then subtly hinted about the girl in the purple story. Avantika found that oddly specific. The conversation eventually led to this tentative, "Can we be friends, Abikili? When we meet physically, we'll see how things go. You have nice eyes, and maybe I might have had a small crush on you too." And that phrase, Abikili, for now, it sets a really cautious, conditional tone, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That shift from online flirtation to a tentative friends for now is crucial. It marks the gradual erosion of emotional boundaries, especially when strong feelings are involved. That small crush admission. It's a classic sign of deeper emotional entanglement starting to form, often disguised as just casual interest. And Dev's reaction to her message, his heart doing somersaults, rushing to the mirror suddenly wide awake, it perfectly illustrates the potent impact of her words. He quickly accepts her proposal for friendship. They continue to talk every day, late into the night, like there's this unspoken urgency to know everything about each other. A few days later, Avantika casually introduced Dev to Tanishka on a video call, revealing they already knew each other. Dev noted their great friendship. He later reflected quite cynically, "Two girls are like Oscar-winning actors. You're my best friend," to each other's faces, but the second they turn around, it's all gossip and drama. He also observes that his own connection with Tanishka became superficial, and he realized Avantika never really wanted Tanishka and me to be close, noting Tanishka's clear loyalty to Avantika. This highlights how appearances can be deceiving. And his thought, sometimes the people you think are closest to you are the ones who are just good at pretending, is a painful lesson that will definitely unfold further.
So December finally arrived, and so did Dev's big move to Bangalore. He describes the city's weather as the finest, the air feeling like a fresh start, but Christ, university itself. A different beast entirely. Not a Karan Johar movie college, he says, full of lavish romance. It was a place where his ID card was the most crucial accessory, formal attire was the law, made every morning feel like he was dressing up for a board meeting. Kara. He notes this quiet intensity on campus, everyone focused, driven, a proving ground where students were borderline obsessed with participation. He felt that pull to excel, ready to match the pace. He first met Pavni and Saurabh in person, felt a comforting familiarity and easy slip into conversation. But the real moment of anticipation was Avantika and Tanishka's arrival.
Indeed. And this section really underscores the inherent tension when friends start crossing into romantic territory, and the blind spots that often come with intense infatuation. Des spots Avantika with her parents. She's simple but perfect in a pink top and black jeans, her eyes that left me awestruck. His focus is solely on her. Everything feels good, so right. Their initial handshake, the canteen conversation flows effortlessly, filled with teasing. But then Tanishka arrives, and Avantika's Bollywood reunion scene with Tanishka hugging like long-lost sisters stands in stark contrast. Stark contrast to Dev's polite, formal handshake with Tanishka. He notes, no warmth, no real connection. The coincidence of Avantika and Tanishka staying in a PG-paying guest accommodation in Koramangala, the same area as Dev, makes him feel their lives were threading together. His feelings for Avantika deepen dramatically. They weren't just friends anymore. Her every gesture is magnified. He's drawn to her more than ever. The idea of proposing starts to consume him, wants it to be extraordinary. And this is where Dev makes a really critical error. He calls Tanishka for advice, blurts out his proposal plans.
Tanishka's calm, collected warning, "Are you sure? Take your time. Make sure it's really what you want."
is met with Dev's frustration. He wonders, why doesn't Tanishka want me to be with Avantika? And abruptly hangs up, turns to YouTube to research how to propose to a girl. This just perfectly exemplifies how his blindness of love causes him to dismiss valid concerns from a genuine friend, sets up that critical conflict about trust and perception. It reveals a powerful human tendency to dismiss unwelcome truths, especially when they challenge our deeply held desires.
Consumed by this desire, Dev finally executed his plan at Ace Cafe. His heart raced, the world blurred as he gazed at Avantika, who looked more beautiful in this moment than I ever realized. He poured out his heart, starting with Avantika, nambi kupsurate, or Appi, which means Avantika, your name is beautiful and so are you. He declared his love, wanting to be a better person for her, saw her light up. Huv. Her acceptance, though, came with conditions. I don't know if it's love, but you're someone who helps me enjoy life, a companion I cherish deeply. And crucially, she asked him to keep this personal. Empathy, walking hand in hand in the rain, finding shelter under a shop awning, they shared their first intimate kiss.
Right, it's a classic romantic trope, that scene. Yet, it's immediately undercut by Avantika's caveats. The secrecy she requests is a significant red flag, isn't it? It foreshadows issues with transparency, commitment that will plague their relationship. It really highlights how conditional love, or love accompanied by secrecy, can sow the seeds of future distrust and pain. Just as things seem to be falling into place, the second wave of COVID hit. Campus closed, life reduced to video calls again. Before returning home, Dev, Avantika, and Tanishka spent one last day at Dev's PG. It was there Dev witnessed something unexpected. Avantika casually pulled out a cigarette, lit it with ease. Dev was shocked, really disliked the smell. Tanishka showed no reaction, making Dev wonder if she knew. He contrasts this to his 2024 self, lighting his sixth cigarette of the day, reflecting, funny how habits stay, but people always find a way to leave. During a game of Uno that evening, Avantika's phone lit up with Mehul, her ex. She quickly declined the call but kept glancing at and texting her phone. This fueled Dev's growing suspicion. Later, after Tanishka left, Avantika and Dev shared another intense kiss. Dev, hesitant, asked, "Are you and Mehul still in contact?" Avantika replied, "Yeah, we're just normal friends. He's a family friend." She then suggested a cigarette after sex, which Dev tried but strongly disliked, coughing uncontrollably. This whole sequence reveals layers of deception already present, doesn't it? Demonstrates how a lack of full transparency, a reliance on partial truths, can quickly erode the foundations of a new relationship.
And then, in this jarring jump back to 2024, Dev checks his phone, sees a message from Tanishka that had come earlier, around the time of the proposal and the secrecy. It read, "Live your life, don't get stuck on me, I'm removing you from Instagram and Snapchat. If you ever need anything, just let me know. I'll always be here for you. Goodbye and good luck for your placement." Dev recalls replying about her teaching him not to get stuck on people, wishing her well for St. Xavier's. This revelation of Tanishka's message, shared at that critical point, becomes a source of deep regret for Dev in hindsight. He thinks, if only I had understood what she was trying to say before everything slipped away, before I made that move, before I proposed. He feels he lost Tanishka not once, but twice, haunted by the idea there was something hidden, something I wasn't meant to know. He even blames Pavni for calling Avantika on his birthday, seeing it now as a prelude to his heartbreak, a painfully ironic moment that led him to lose both girls. He laments, it takes the consent of two to build a relationship, but only one's decision to shatter it.
That's a powerful moment of narrative irony, isn't it? Dev, looking back, recognizes Tanishka's almost prophetic warning, a warning he totally dismissed in his infatuation. This underscores a crucial psychological truth. We often ignore the guidance of those who truly care for us when our desires are just overwhelming. His self-blame, extending even to Pavni, demonstrates that human tendency to seek external culprits for our internal choices. It's a painful but common realization that clarity often comes only in retrospect, after the consequences have fully unfolded. That something hidden feeling points to the pervasive nature of deceit in his relationship with Avantika, and how that secrecy inevitably corroded the trust with Tanishka as well. It reveals how profoundly interwoven our relationships can be, and how one broken trust can just ripple through our entire social fabric. Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here is watching how emotional availability shifts when someone's priorities are divided, and how new support systems emerge when the old ones become unreliable. After that night, Dev quickly noticed Avantika's calls becoming busy more often. She wouldn't call back for hours sometimes. He later discovered she was talking to Mehul, her ex, who was apparently going through academic pressure. Avantika was consistently there for him. Dev explains it wasn't jealousy, exactly, but it was tough to digest, that twice a week she'd have these long calls with Mehul, leaving him with little explanation beyond Mayhill's going through something. Unable to keep it bottled up anymore, Dev finally confesses everything to Tanishka. She was the only person who truly knew both of them right. Her immediate, unsurprising response: "I told you to take more time, but you were too blinded by love to listen." From that moment, Tanishka steps into this crucial support role, becomes his unfiltered confidant. Their bond, initially superficial, begins to grow closer, filling that void left by Aventika's increasing emotional distance. This highlights a common pattern, doesn't it, where a primary partner's emotional unavailability inadvertently pushes the other towards a new, often unexpected source of comfort and intimacy.
And Tanishka's loyalty was truly put to the test on Dev's birthday in 2021. Dev waited all day for Aventika's call or surprise. Nothing. Then, at 11:34 p.m., Tanishka arrived at his door with a cake and a black plastic bag, a silent testament to her unwavering friendship. Suddenly, Aventika called. Dev put her on speaker, and his heart just sank as he heard her confession to Tanishka. "Yar, a major fuck-up happened. I was talking to Mayhul and forgot to call Dev for his birthday." That Yar, it's like friend or dude. Tanishka quickly rushed out, came back and tried to cover up, saying, "Aventika was just talking to Mayhul about some family issue. Relax, nothing major." But Dev insisted on the truth. Asked if Aventika and Mayhul were dating again. Tanishka kept denying it.
This is such a pivotal moment. Loyalties are intensely tested. Secrets are brutally revealed. It showcases the insidious nature of gaslighting and how one person's deceit can force others into these compromising positions. Avantika then called Dev back, apologized, sent a gift. Tanishka silently urged Dev not to expose her cover story. But Dev couldn't hold back. He confessed his hurt to Tanishka. Why these lies? Why all this? Tanishka finally broke. Revealed Mayhul had recently come to meet Aventika. Even showed Dev Mayhul's Instagram post with Aventika. Dev describes his subsequent breakdown: anger, disbelief. Tanishka tried to reassure him, telling him to trust Aventika. In the midst of this emotional chaos, Tanishka then asks him, "Do you think we can be best friends?" Dev, desperate for genuine connection amidst the wreckage of his relationship with Aventika, accepts. They stayed up all night sharing secrets, and he says something happened, something unspoken. It wasn't loud or obvious, but it's enough to shift the dynamic. This implied intimacy or deep emotional bond, further complicated by Tanishka making him promise not to tell anyone, clearly blurs the lines of their friendship. It underscores the destructive nature of deceit in relationships, and the powerful, sometimes unexpected bonds formed in moments of shared vulnerability. It highlights a painful truth. When one relationship crumbles due to dishonesty, it can inadvertently push us into the arms of another, even if that connection is also built on secrecy or blurred lines.
Right, that unspoken moment, that quiet promise, it profoundly changed Dev's perspective. He realized how incredibly important Tanishka had become. His feelings for her deepened. But then, January 2022, came the devastating unfair court of friendship scene in the library. Tanishka, her expression quiet but firm, looked at Dev and asked him directly, "Masu, what's your priority list? In your life, who comes first, me or Aventika?" Dev froze. The air thickened. He knew the answer, but saying it aloud felt like such a betrayal to Tanishka. Slowly, apologetically, he admitted, "Tanishka, she's my girlfriend, so yeah, she comes first."
Oof. That exchange is just a brutal depiction of the pain of being the second choice and the profound consequences of unacknowledged feelings within a friendship, especially when one person's emotional investment just isn't reciprocated or prioritized. Tanishka's reaction: no argument, no outburst, just a quiet nod as if she'd already known this truth deep down. Then her phone statement: "In that case, we can't be best friends anymore. Not like this." Dev panicked, insisted she was his best friend, but Tanishka countered, "I can't be your second choice, Basu." She elaborated, pointing out that Dev didn't even hesitate when you said it was Aventika, and how he continually sidelined her whenever Aventika was around. She even revealed her decision to come back to Bangalore was influenced by Aventika's return, highlighting the depth of her own sacrifice, her emotional investment. Dev, in that moment, realized she was right. He had unknowingly pushed her aside, prioritizing a conditional romance over a genuine, unconditional friendship. Her final words: "You already have, Dev," just sliced through him. She walked out, leaving him alone, shattered by the weight of his unacknowledged actions and the impact of his choices. This illustrates a critical lesson about self-worth, doesn't it? Tanishka, despite her feelings, refused to settle for being secondary, valued her own emotional well-being above Dev's convenience.
The narrative then just races towards its dramatic climax, the March 16th betrayal. Despite everything, Aventika continued her pretense, refused to make the relationship public, maintained the just friends facade. On March 16th, Aventika claimed she was on her period, tired, skipped their usual meetup. Dev, trying to surprise her, bought her favorite cheese burst pizza. After an hour of unanswered calls, his concern grew. He went to her PG. Tanishka opened the door looking disheveled. Dev smelled alcohol. He spotted Mihir, a classmate who would later become Tanishka's boyfriend, in the background. A stinging sight given the circumstances. He insisted on seeing Avantika, but Tanishka refused, said she was sleeping. Then Avantika herself appeared, wearing a black crop top. With, as Dev describes, a spark in her eyes that suggested she hadn't been sleeping at all. Dev asked what happened. She snapped, said she was in an angry mode.
Yeah, this whole sequence is the narrative's absolute central crisis, showcasing the shattering impact of perceived betrayal and the manipulative power of gaslighting. As Dev pulled Avantika into the apartment, the sight, 2 pizza boxes, a vodka bottle, and 4 chairs, implying Mehul was also present. Hiding was a punch to the gut. Dev rushed into the room and found Mehul hiding. His blood boiled, he says. Everything just shattered. In a fury, Dev kicked the table. Pizza and vodka crashed to the floor, the sound echoing like a thunderclap. He dragged Avantika into another room, demanding to know why. She, surprisingly composed, confessed, "I didn't want to hurt you. I thought it would be easier this way." Which is such a classic line of avoidance, right? Shifting responsibility away from genuine dishonesty. As Tanishka, Mehul, and Mihir pounded on the door, Avantika uttered that truly hurtful declaration. "We're not dating, and you can't prove that we ever were." Mihir's dismissive comments followed, and when Dev confronted Avantika about Mehul, she slapped him. In a moment of sheer frustration, desperation, Dev threw the watch she had given him, shouting, "I don't want this."
Avantika's chilling final words, "Joe Sokshna Hai, Sokcho. I don't care, boss. I'm done with this, done with you." Meaning, think what you want, I don't care. Enough. I'm done with this, done with you, cemented the end. Dev's reflection perfectly encapsulates his pain. Funny how the ones who say they'll never hurt you always do. He lost my best friend and my love. Yes. A stark illustration of how secrecy and dishonesty erode trust and lead to these explosive, devastating conclusions. This sequence serves as a powerful cautionary tale about the consequences of denying reality and the profound impact of deceit on everyone involved.
So, in the immediate aftermath of this huge betrayal, Dev found himself reeling, finally understanding why people drink or smoke anything to numb that unbearable pain. He sought solace, ended up at Pavni's place. Palak, another classmate, was unexpectedly there. Dev, though not entirely unfiltered, explained the Avantika mess to Pavni, but he consciously kept Tanishka's story secret, admitted it was too raw, too complicated. Pavni reacted with disbelief, anger, asked, "Why the hell didn't you say something sooner?" and directly questioned if Avantika and Mehul had been hooking up. Dev reluctantly agreed.
This section really reveals that immediate human response to trauma, a desperate need for comfort, and selectively confiding in others. Palak, the unexpected guest, further amplified Dev's déjà vu. She casually dangled a cigarette, reminding him of Avantika. It was then, for the very first time, that Dev asked for a cigarette. Vilda had this strange way of turning strangers into friends. He ended up sharing everything about Avantika and Mehul with Palak, but still held back on Tanishka. He describes Tanishka as like the last piece of chocolate, too precious to share. Highlights how self-preservation and past promises continued to shape his actions, even in his moment of vulnerability. It's a powerful illustration of how we compartmentalize our pain and trust, even in moments of intense emotional need. Reveals the lasting scars of previous betrayals.
Despite finding new confidants, Dev's lingering pain was still a constant companion. He felt hollow, unsure if he missed Tanishka or Avantika more. He saw Tanishka and Mihir together, disgustingly happy, he says, made Dev feel like a forgotten page in a book she'd finished. Avantika, too, maintained her distance, glued to her phone, texting Mehul, made Dev feel like a ghost. It was one of those late nights when Tanishka called, asked if he was okay. Her warning was stark. Main Tika warned Kratha, "It was too early," meaning "I warned you, it was too early." She then added, "Much happier. At least I have someone who knows not to make me feel sidelined." A direct hit at Dev's past actions. "You were my friend once," she stated, the painful past tense hitting harder than expected. Dev, overwhelmed, relapsed into smoking, realizing he desperately needed to move on.
Right. Here we see those lingering emotional ties and the slow, painful process of seeking closure, often through repeated patterns of behavior. Dev, desperate for answers, sought a final meeting with Avantika to understand why she had cheated. At his place, Avantika offered partial explanations. Mehul was a family friend. She was hiding from her mom. Sneha was who she was really texting. The hickey he saw was merely a bug bite. Dev questioned her truthfulness, but before he could respond, she leaned in and kissed him. Dev later reflects on this as that card to play, a secret weapon girls use to erase their mistakes. The deceptive patterns from Avantika and Dev's continued susceptibility just keep him trapped in this cycle of doubt. It illustrates a painful aspect of emotional manipulation. How easily we can fall back into old patterns when a deeply desired connection is offered, even if it comes with strings of untruths. In contrast, Tanishka's stark honesty, though painful, served as a moment of profound clarity for Dev, forced him to confront his own role in their fractured friendship and the consequences of his choices.
As the internship placement phase began, Dev learned Avantika's internship was in Rajasthan, coincidentally, Mehul city. He remained silent. A quiet recognition of the lingering patterns, his conversations with Tanishka dwindled to formal exchanges, just a yes when he asked if everything was fine. During the summer break calls, Avantika and Dev maintained a routine, but Dev still hid Tanishka's calls. Gave the excuse, Papa ka call a hi, my dad is calling. But then Tanishka confessed how Mihir, her new boyfriend, had changed, treating her like an object, prioritizing his friends, dominating her life, even dictating who she could follow on Instagram. Dev, angered by this, urged her to leave him.
This phase marks such a significant turning point. Both Dev and Tanishka experience the painful complexities of their chosen relationships, revealing this powerful thematic parallel. Tanishka, however, responded, "Because I love him," and then with pointed irony asked Dev, "You haven't left Avantika yet, have you?" Dev realized the painful parallels. Both he and Tanishka were trapped by their choices, sacrificing their own well-being for love. No one truly happy except Avantika and Mihir. This moment is crucial. It shows us how often individuals fall into similar destructive patterns, prioritizing romantic love over friendship, despite the pain it causes. It speaks to the psychological drivers behind staying in unhealthy relationships, the desire for connection, the fear of being alone, or just the difficulty of breaking deeply ingrained emotional bonds. Tanishka's breaking point came when Mihir's insecurity led her to cut off Dev, choosing love over friendship. Dev observed she was treading the same path I had feared. Meanwhile, Dev joined Imi Goa. His initial excitement crashed into the hell of only 3 hours sleep, diplomatic connections, and a ruthless focus on placements.
Producing a 20 lakh 2 million rupees investment to merely job offers. In this chaos, Tanishka became his escape. Her mundane stories brought his energy back, felt like warm hugs amidst the overwhelming environment. The cyclical nature of their struggles offers a powerful commentary on human attachment and the difficulty of letting go, even when faced with obvious pain and a clear path to self-preservation.
As 2023 progressed, Dev and Tanishka began the slow process of healing together. Their daily ritual, Tanishka's good morning texts at 10 a.m., established a new rhythm. Dev notes how their trust deepened. Tanishka shared things she held close to her heart, making him long to get back to that place we had before. Antonaris. This included detailed revelations about Mihir's escalating domination, his possessiveness, criticism of her habits, even dictating her Instagram follows. When Tanishka finally broke down, Dev, now having experienced similar pain and realizing she was over-investing in someone who didn't value her, urged her to leave Mihir, reminded her of her own love in moderation philosophy. Tanishka promised to leave him.
Right, and what's fascinating here is the complete role reversal. Dev, having navigated his own heartbreak and toxic patterns, now offers Tanishka the very support and candid advice she once gave him. This reciprocal healing highlights the cyclical nature of relationships and the lessons learned, even if the timing for their own potential connection was consistently off. It shows how personal growth, born from painful experiences, can equip us to better guide others through similar struggles. As Tanishka slowly healed, Dev's own feelings began to shift. His behavior towards her changed. His questions took on layers of meaning, felt like a countdown to something more. He was clearly searching for something beyond friendship, a subtle shift he recognized but wasn't yet ready to fully admit, indicating his hope for a deeper bond re-emerging.
Dev's social service assignment in Rajasthan in 2023 presented a perfect opportunity to meet Tanishka in Haridwar. Convincing his team to let him leave was, as expected, a humorous ordeal. He anticipated their reactions. Latki kacha kar babu faya. It's all about a girl, brother. Or, too much wo periods mein hogi. Don't go, she'll be on her period. But somehow, fueled by the magic of alcohol, though not for the sober Tanmay, he succeeded. Meeting Tanishka in Haridwar, seeing her in a pink nightdress with less friendly vibes, receiving a side hug, filled Dev with a rush of warmth. They caught up, discussed Mihir's certified Chia status, that common Hindi slang for idiot or fool. Dev still sensed a part of Tanishka hadn't fully let go.
This complex interaction perfectly captures the push and pull of unrequited or mistimed love. Despite Dev's growing feelings, Tanishka's emotional state is still heavily influenced by her past relationship. Later, while watching The Conjuring and sharing beers, Dev found himself unable to focus on the film, captivated only by Tanishka. His heart pounding. He blurted out his feelings. "I can't look at you as just a friend anymore. You're becoming my everything." Tanishka's hesitation, however, was palpable. Avi, I can't see anything, Dev. I can't build trust again, she replied, eyes glistening. Right now. I can't see anything, Dev, she confessed lingering feelings for me here, feeling worthless. Dev pulled her into a side hug, telling her she was the best person someone can have. Tanishka's plea, that's just right there, Can we just stay friends, was laced with desperation. She reiterated, I know you've helped me a lot, but may na bas way me nai dek di hun, meaning I don't see you that way anymore. Dev, recognizing her struggle, her lack of readiness, accepted, it's fine, really. Let's just be the way we were. I need you in my life, more than any tag or label. The narrative then alludes to another kiss, blurring the lines of their friendship even further, despite Tanishka's clear boundaries. This highlights the profound challenges of healing and moving on, even when a seemingly better option is present. It's a painful reminder that even if two people are right for each other, timing and past trauma can create insurmountable barriers.
Despite the emotional intensity of that meeting, Danishka reiterated her request for boundaries. Please, let's try to keep our boundaries. I don't want to go beyond friendship. Kim. Dev accepted, but acknowledged to himself he was already beyond boundaries. He then went to Mumbai for his internship, calling Tanishka every evening. Served as her supportive friend as she slowly healed from Mihir. One night at 3 a.m., Tanishka called him, voice bubbling with excitement. She'd been accepted into St. Xavier's for her MBA, and confirmed she had finally cut off Mihir, calling it liberating. Dev felt this surge of joy for her, believing their bond was growing stronger, that this was a sign of a new chapter for them both.
Right, and this sequence powerfully demonstrates the painful reality of mismatched expectations, that delicate balance between hope and acceptance. Dev, feeling their bond growing, decided to wait an extra week in Mumbai after his internship, just to see Tanishka for a few hours before she left for B-school. He was overflowing with emotion, heart racing, seeing her as the most beautiful girl in the world. He thought, when you meet the right person, everything feels different. It's like you finally understand why nothing ever worked out. Yet when he tried to hold her hand, she gently pulled away. A subtle, clear gesture, but it spoke louder than words. She was standing firm in friendship only. Dev's realization was stark. Expectation is the root of all heartache. He'd waited a week for 5 fleeting hours, a painful lesson in accepting what is versus what one desires. It's a poignant illustration of how sometimes, despite all the shared history and support, two people can simply be on different emotional timelines. One's profound hope met with another's gentle yet firm boundary.
As the months of 2024 wore on, Dev could feel their conversations changing, shrinking, becoming an obligation for Tanishka, he felt. He finally made this desperate plea. I just want your friendship the way it was before. If not, then let's end this. Let's not be best friends anymore. The next day, his phone buzzed. The message, mirroring the book's opening, was from Tanishka. Okay, as you wish. So, can we be strangers again?
Okay.
This signaled the final heartbreaking break. Dev reflected, maybe I was just a fleeting chapter in her story, one that had to end for her to move forward. While she was my whole book, I was merely a few pages she could easily turn. He realized priorities aren't about having time, they're about making time. Perhaps he was a priority for her only when she had no one else. He felt the ache of her absence, knowing that sometimes it's not about holding someone close, but knowing that they're out there existing, and that's enough to keep your heart from breaking completely.
This is truly the narrative's emotional core, isn't it? Highlighting the profound evolution of human connection and that painful but necessary art of letting go. Dev is left with a stark realization about the nature of relationships, the importance of self-worth. Then on his birthday, October 14th, 2024, while still waiting for a message from Tanishka that never came, he received a call from an unknown number. It was Avantika. She apologized, stating, I should have been honest about things from the start. Confirmed she was no longer in touch with Mehul. Avantika offered a final insight. Maybe we all just play the roles we're meant to. Some people come into our lives to shatter us. Dev, reflecting on his whole journey, replied, maybe that's what strangers really are, guides in disguise, showing us parts of ourselves we couldn't see on our own. When Avantika asked about Tanishka, Dev gave a brief, vague reply, indicating some wounds, even healed, remain private. Their final goodbyes were tinged with a quiet closure. Take care, Avantika. Maybe one day we'll cross paths again, even as strangers. Dev's ultimate realization is profound. Life, I realized, was an endless cycle of arrivals and farewells, of meeting people who were both strangers and mirrors of what we seek. And Tanishka, despite everything, remained a name, a memory, a question that lingered like an unfinished story. The book concludes with that poignant thought, strangers are just familiar souls who meet us at the crossroads of who we were and who we're meant to be. #outro.
Wow, so what does this all mean for us? We've journeyed through Dev's intensely personal, often really painful experiences. Love, friendship, betrayal, self-discovery. We've seen how he navigated these deeply complex relationships, constantly learning, evolving through each challenge.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, this narrative just profoundly illustrates the evolving nature of human connection and that painful but necessary art of letting go. It highlights how clarity often comes only after a period of intense emotional struggle and reflection. The ultimate lesson here really feels like the importance of self-worth, discerning true value in others, not just in romance, but in all aspects of life. It also reminds us that while some bonds might shatter us, they often reveal who we are meant to be, forging resilience and a deeper understanding of ourselves.
For you, the listener, there are several key takeaways from Dev's journey that maybe we can apply to our own lives. First, that stark contrast between illusion and reality in relationships, seen through Avantika's strategic secrecy, Mihir's true manipulative nature. This highlights the critical importance of seeking and accepting truth, even when it's uncomfortable, right? Second, the deep pain of being a second choice and the critical importance of eventually prioritizing oneself, as Tanishka eventually learned to do.
Absolutely. It also underscores the complex, often messy journey of healing and emotional growth, demonstrating how our past experiences, however painful, inevitably shape our future choices and our capacity for new, healthier connections. Dev's journey shows us that resilience isn't about avoiding pain, it's about growing through it. And finally, that intriguing idea that strangers, or those who once were deeply familiar, can ultimately reveal profound truths about ourselves that we might never have discovered otherwise. They serve as catalysts for self-reflection, pushing us towards the person we are meant to become.
This story really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In your own life, how often do you mistake fleeting happiness for a lasting, genuine connection? And when you're faced with a difficult truth, are you truly ready to hear it? Or do you, like Dev initially did, hold on to what you wish was true, even when it causes more pain and hinders your own growth?
Consider the powerful echoes of the past that continue to shape our present. How do our choices about who we prioritize and who we allow to define our worth ultimately determine the path we're on? And what does it truly mean to be strangers again? Is it merely an act of surrender, a painful acknowledgement of an end? Or is it, maybe for some, a profound and necessary step toward self-liberation and a clearer understanding of who you are without them?